It's Madam Hellfire back yet again for the penultimate video of the Cryptid Iceberg Level 5. You all know the drill at this point. I'm only covering creatures I can find information on and will not mention any that cause disrespect to a particular culture. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Since we don't have a giant category for this level of the iceberg, we jump right into our first sea monster, the Black Demon. The Black Demon is an allegedly unidentified species of shark seen off Mexico's Baja California peninsula in 2008. It's described as being dark-colored, 20 feet to 60 feet long, and weighing between 50,000 to 100,000 pounds. To the Netherlands we go for the Boeiebeek, which is actually two creatures who share the same name. Gelderland describes the Boeiebeek as a relatively harmless, nocturnal creature that screams at people, while Utrecht's version literally drags children to their watery grave. The children allegedly see a beautiful palace filled with colorful lights before they drown, but that doesn't make it any less horrifying. Our next cryptid hails from Vietnam and is an insect rather than a serpent, the conreet. The conreet is a giant centipede with fins instead of little bug legs. Initial reports of the beast came from a 1920 study conducted by the director of Indochina's Oceanographic Fisheries Service, Dr. A. Kempf. Moving to West Africa, we have one of the weirdest cryptids of this iceberg, the Diganek. Also known as the jungle walrus, the Diganek was discovered by European explorers during the late 19th century and early 20th century. Hunter Edgar Beecher Bronson, that's one hell of a name, gives a very odd description of the beast, but I will summarize it as a feline fish chimera with massive tusk-like fangs and scales along its back like an armadillo. From Indiana, we have another creature from the Black Lagoon cousin in the green-clawed beast. This leads back to a singular August 14th, 1955 incident near Evansville where a girl named Naomi Johnson was pulled under the waves of the Ohio River by an unidentified creature. There's no full description for the creature outside of what makes up its name, and that can arguably be attributed to Naomi being threatened by an alleged Air Force colonel that showed up at her home. As is tradition, we cannot go a level of the Cryptid Iceberg without a Nessie cousin, and for level 5, we have our first in Japan's Ishii. Ishii is said to reside in Lake Ikeda, located on Kyushu Island, first sighted in 1978. The photograph was allegedly taken of Ishii in 1978 and a video was recorded in 1991. There is no tangible proof of its existence. Speaking of cryptids with Japanese influence, we turn to the Kabagon from New Zealand. First spotted off the coast of Littleton by Japanese fishermen in 1974, the Kabagon is described as having a massive head, eyes, and nostrils with grayish-colored skin. Many cryptozoologists liken it to the umibozo and large Antarctic sea mammal, but those who aren't think it to be misidentified walruses or seals. The Japanese theme continues with Hokkaido's version of Nessie, Kushi. Kushi resides in Lake Kusharo, with stories of it first coming from the Ainu people. The most famous sightings occurred between 1972 and 1974, resulting in a TV crew staking out the lake for an entire month with no results. Back to European cryptids, we return with an extremely popular beast during the 16th century, the sea bishop or sea monk. These creatures are most commonly said to have bodies shaped like a monk wearing their robes and are believed to be pets of royalty. We finish this category with Norway's version of Nessie, Selma. Selma resides in Lake and is described as an anaconda-like serpent 30 feet to 45 feet in length, first seen in the late 1750s. Though many images and videos allegedly containing evidence of Selma's existence have been released, nothing concrete has surfaced. The first of 3 ETs for this level of the iceberg is a bizarre humanoid caught on camera, the Cloud Giant. This creature was seen in January 2016 by Nick O'Donoghue during a flight between Gatwick, England and Australia. An image was taken at 30,000 feet showing a massive figure standing atop the clouds. The second ET is a form of atmospheric beast seen in a singular 2004 incident, Flying Rays. It was encountered by an unnamed couple on a road leaving Point Pleasant, the two looking up to see a translucent gray stingray the size of a car flying above them. The final ET we will discuss is sky serpents. These are pretty easy to describe as they're basically dragons or snake-like creatures with little wingies that go flap flap. The first land beast for this level is the deer man of North America. Just as its name states, this beast is a deer-human hybrid believed to either be some sort of mutant or shapeshifter. It's predominantly been seen in the Midwest, but has popped up a few times on the East Coast. To Tangiers, Morocco we go for a very niche urban legend, door dogs. This ominous canine is said to appear before a person's demise, showing itself to others whilst following the doomed individual through a doorway. Sticking with urban legends about canines, we next talk about ghost wolves. These are basically ghostly wolves that show up all across the Midwest and eastern coast of the US. And now for something completely different. Next, we have the ghost moose, which is, oddly enough, a lot like Mothman. Hailing from Maine, the spectral creature has been said to signify disastrous occurrences upon its appearance since 1891. As ominous as it might sound, this cryptid is most likely just an albino moose. Next, we have the Kushtaka of Alaska. These shapeshifters are believed by indigenous tribes to either aid those lost in the snow or lure them into storms to die. They apparently can be warded off with fire, copper, dogs, or urine. Ew. Now we turn our attention to Vietnam's version of Bigfoot, rock apes. Like the name suggests, they are giant apes that would throw rocks at people, specifically American soldiers during the Vietnam War. These creatures allegedly scared the soldiers so badly that multiple expeditions into their densely packed domain were conducted. To this day, nothing concrete has been found that would differentiate them from common ape species such as orangutan. The next cryptid by far is my favorite of the lycanthropic ilk that I've covered to date, the Rougarou or Lougarou. This shape-shifting beast from Cajun folklore is said to reside in the swamps of Greater New Orleans, and stories of it are utilized to keep naughty children in line. For me personally, I know it through a nice little guilty pleasure movie of mine called Blood and Chocolate. The last cryptid for this category is unironically terrifying, the Shug Monkey. Hailing from Cambridgeshire, England, this dog-monkey chimera haunts Slow Hill Lane and allegedly likes to stalk children. Those sightings used to be prevalent in the early 20th century. They've ceased after World War II. The first cryptid of this final category is a US-based urban legend straight out of New York with a truly horrid backstory. Cropsey. To summarize, Cropsey is a child murderer of the 1970s tied to the real-life serial killer Andre Rand. Remaining in the US, we next talk about California's own Dark Watchers. These dark silhouetted humanoid figures originate from Chumash Indian legend and are most seen in the Santa Lucia Mountains. Many believe these are spirits that visit hikers during twilight hours. Still within the spiritual realm, our next cryptid is Belgium's Deogen. These malicious spirits reside in the Sonian forest and, per written accounts in a 1937 book titled De Kinderen van het Bezettenbos, were born from the massacre and burning of 8 children. They are said to stare at unsuspecting people through the fog as it falls over the forest. Our next cryptid is pretty much in the same vein as Cropsey, Goody Cole. Goody Cole is basically the name given to one Eunice Cole, a real-life woman accused of being a witch. At least this time, it's not tied to a serial killer. Though our next cryptid sounds like a type of candy if you went by name alone, they are deceptively sinister. Melonheads. Melonheads are humanoid creatures seen in Connecticut, Michigan, and Ohio with tiny bodies and oversized heads that like to appear out of nowhere to attack unsuspecting victims. Connecticut says they are survivors of an asylum fire that turned to cannibalism. Michigan says they are deceased children turned feral after being released into the wild. Ohio states they are orphan children that escaped into the wild after killing their abusive caretaker. No matter which story you look at, these deformed things are horrifying. To Hawaii we turn to talk about Night Marchers, an army of ghostly warriors that manifest during nights of great significance to the ancient gods. They appear at nightfall and march until dawn, violently murdering any living soul who crosses their path. The last cryptid we will discuss for this level of the iceberg comes from a very odd video, the Pedestrian Bridge Monster. The video in question was posted to YouTube in 2016 and it allegedly shows 2 shadowy creatures moving along the underside of a bridge in Kiev, Ukraine. It looks rather creepy. I can't tell what these seemingly quadrupedal things are, and they kind of remind me of the Rake. With the final creature covered, we end this level of the iceberg. We only have one more video remaining to cover levels 6 and 7, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one with the finale of this series. Until then, sweet nightmares. I just wanted to take the time to thank my Patreons and channel members. Your support is so appreciated. If you are not a channel member or Patreon and you would like to become one, there's a link in the description below. All channel members and Patreons receive 24 hours early access to all content posted on both of my channels. And all Patreons or channel members of the $10 Hellhound tier can request one horror-related video or stream topic, or one horror-related game that I play on my live streams on Tuesdays and and Thursdays. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel and the content that I make.